everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Andrew's Sports Zone. I'm Andrew, and I'm here with my father. Last week, we brought to you an episode of our predictions and a good preview of what this show will be. And today we're going to do the same, a little bit more enthusiasm this time, and get you posted on some scores. Want me to start?
Thanks for having me again. How does it feel so far? How have you enjoyed your podcasting career so far?
Oh, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Podcasting is very fun for me. I'm glad you dragged me out to the workshop here, but it's become a great experience and it's fun to do this with you, and a great thing to put on my college resume and application.
It's a lot of fun, all these great technology in front of us. So yeah, why don't we go right into our local sports like we do every week? We can start out with why don't we cover what we did for BevCam? Both of us volunteer, you in color commentating and a commentating role, and I do some camera work. So what did we do last week?
Yeah, on Saturday, both of us, we did the varsity football game at Herd Stadium. That was a fun experience. First time up on the big crate up there and with all the cameras. I had a great time helping the announcers out with some stats, and I'm sure you had a great time.
That's a nice view up there, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you had a great time with the cameras. On Monday, we both did girls volleyball for the first time. It was my first time commentating volleyball. I found it quite enjoyable. The day we're filming this, Wednesday, Wednesday,
17th, I believe.
September 17th. Yes. I've looked up some more stats, and I think I'm prepared for the game tonight. The Beverly girls varsity volleyball team has a game against Marblehead tonight, so that'll be fun to watch. And on Wednesday, yeah, that's what I just said. I'm heading over. And Friday, both of us are going to do our second rendition of helping out BevCam and bringing away games for the football team. So we're going to head over to Revere and help out there. And on Thursday, myself and I believe, are you doing field hockey on Thursday?
Yes, I have both of us down for the field hockey on Thursday. So that'll be my first experience doing the camera work for that.
Yeah, that'll be great. And then next week, Monday, we both do volleyball again. And Tuesday, I do some field hockey. So if you want to tune in and see us on a broadcast of BevCam, then you could definitely tune in next week and this upcoming week. To get into results of BHS matchups we talked about last week, we want to talk first about varsity football. They got their first win of the season. They moved to 1-1. They had a 28-26 win over Haverhill on Saturday. Rushing touchdowns from Sean Aquizabon, Sean Costa, Anthony Sullivan, and a passing touchdown from Danny Pierce to Charlie Frost. And Alexander Marquez added a couple extra points. So definitely what we saw from that last game was a lot the rushing game connecting. I think Beverly's found a weapon there in Sean Aquizabon. And he was definitely the better back than Sean Costa, but of course both of them are really good. But I think it's like discovering you have that second running back that's great as well, and like a dual backfield, like similar to the Buccaneers when they found out about Bucky Irving and how he may have been a little bit better than Rashad White. And then Bucky Irving's now he's a great running back today. So I think that's what Beverly's found a bit. They found a great rushing game, and Sean Aquizabon was named, I believe, in the Boston Globe Players of the Week, so we can see if he continues it this Friday at Revere. And do you want to talk about some girls varsity soccer results?
Oh, sure. That was a beautiful game for a football game too. It's nice to see the Herd Stadium, the first home game of the season. A lot of fun, and they're looking good. And now, yeah, we've got girls varsity soccer this week. They had a 4-1 win at home against Spilrica on Saturday. They had 2 goals from Olivia Ancatel, one from Jaden Simpson, and another from Adeline Ebel. But good defensive play from Sasha Miller and goalkeeping from Claro Castro. On Monday, they had a 0-0 tie at Marblehead, and there's another game for the girls varsity soccer this evening at Swampscott, so we'll get the results to you of that one next week.
Yeah, moving on to boys varsity soccer, it was a 3-2 win at home against Marblehead on Monday. I don't believe that one was covered by BevCam due to a busy schedule, but you get the results here. Goals by senior Daniel Wilder, Daniel Silva, and Isaac Iquincala. Of course, Daniel Silva, the top goal scorer. When we talked about him last episode, he was just coming off that 3-goal game against Masco, I believe. So it's great to see he continues to keep scoring. And their record is now a strong 5-0. They're in a key position to reach that tournament near the end of the season.
Very good.
And place first in the NEC. And they have a game this afternoon at home against Swampscott. We'll get the results to you on our podcast next week for that one as well.
Yeah, and for the girls field hockey, looks like they had a 5-0 win at Danvers last Friday. Sophomore Avery LeBlanc scored, netted 2 goals. Morgan Linsky added another. And then freshman Ellie Fisher and sophomore Gwen Jones both scored their first career goals. So congratulations to them with the girls field hockey. They had a 3-3 tie with Newton on Saturday afternoon, so to travel so far to Newton just to get a 3-3 tie, that's got to be kind of frustrating. But,
Yeah.
the game's a game, and they'll go on to the next one. Tuesday afternoon, they had a 6-2 win at Marblehead, and the record now stands at 3-2-1.
Yeah, it's before I get into girls varsity volleyball here, it's good to hear a lot of these names that I recognize from girls basketball too, as well. These pretty athletic girls here playing multiple sports over the season. So that's great to see that so many people in Beverly do that. And for girls varsity volleyball, they had a 3-0 win at home against Swampscott on Friday. Fiona Long had 8 kills. Sophia Balducci and Reese Kwiatek had 9 digs each. And Julia Marks added 6 blocks. And the game I called myself and my father here filmed, and on Monday, it was a 1-3 loss against Masco on Monday. Just want to call a special congratulations to Reese Kwiatek on her 100th career ace. And if you don't know what an ace is, it's basically when the server, I believe, hits it to the other side and it gets down for a kill without being assisted. So pretty impressive that she has her 100th career ace, and see if she can add more tonight. We'll get those results to you, of course, today on Wednesday. They have a game this afternoon against Marblehead. You can watch it live on BevCam Sports Network. I've mentioned that, and that's the one I will be calling with Rich Francis. So that will be very fun to do. And yeah.
So which of these sports have you liked so far the most in terms of your color commentating or just even watching?
Oh, definitely. I think I really liked volleyball. I found myself in like a new commentary role, and I've seen a couple sports now. I've seen boys and girls soccer and field hockey. But I think the main one after yesterday on Monday, volleyball, it's just lots of action, and surprisingly, the field house was packed and excited. It was just so surprising to me. And then I saw the hype there, and it's just very exciting to see. It's a action-packed sport, never-ending, and it's great to keep the stats and help out as much as I can. And it'll be a good experience for my second time tonight on Wednesday to have good color commentary and be better and a good partner.
Yeah, learning a lot from Rich and what to say and how to learn about the players and the rules of that game. And that was pretty exciting. They had some long volleys, a lot different from any sort of family reunion or company thing where the ball goes up and then lands on the ground and nothing happens during when you try to play volleyball. But it's good to see them, some impressive plays, some fast serves and good digs and blocks and everything. That was fun to watch. Myself, I enjoy filming. I enjoyed our filming when we went on the road to Gloucester for the football as a single camera setup because I get to do the zoom and follow along. I got to admit, the volleyball was a little less exciting for me because I was the wide camera, so all I really had to do was pan left and right. I didn't even get to zoom anywhere, but we did cover the game pretty well, and it's always, as you'd mentioned, always good to participate and make sure they get good coverage of those games, and those games are quite exciting. I get my first chance at field hockey this week, and we'll see how that goes, but I look forward to that.
Yeah.
So should we move next into our professional sports discussions?
Yes, let's move on to our professional sports discussions. We'll just get a quick roundup to you of Week 2 results. Green Bay beat Washington 27-18. Baltimore beat Cleveland 41-17. Cincinnati beat Jacksonville 31-27. Dallas beat the New York Giants 40-37. The Detroit Lions crushed the Chicago Bears 57-21. The New England Patriots got their first win of the season against Miami, 33-27. The San Francisco Giants squeaked it out against the New Orleans Saints, 26-21. The Buffalo Bills dominated the New York Jets, 30-10. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 31-17. The Rams beat the Tennessee Titans 33-19. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Carolina Panthers 27-22. The Indianapolis Colts beat the Denver Broncos on a last minute field goal that was caused by a penalty. That was a great ending of a game if you want to check that out. They won 29-28. Philadelphia beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl rematch 20-17. Atlanta beat Minnesota on Sunday Night Football 22-6. And for the two Monday Night Football games, Tampa Bay beat Houston on a last-minute touchdown, 20-19, and the Los Angeles Chargers beat the Las Vegas Raiders 20-9. And we just want to get to you the exact statistics and our records of me and my father's picks here. In week 2, we were both tied, 13-3. In fact, my dad here, he was perfect on Sunday.
Sunday was perfect.
He messed it up on the primetime games. But if we combined forces, we could have gone 16-0. It was cool to see. And I'm 25-7 on the season, and my dad is 24-8. So
so not too shabby.
It's not too shabby. It's impressive how good we are, because we might be better than some analysts out there. Because like you mentioned to me in the car, I believe yesterday, the guy in some writer, he had his week 2 picks wrong, and we got better than him. So if you want to listen and maybe have like a pick'em game and take our picks, and maybe that's a good idea.
Well, brag while we can, because it's not going to last that long. And I'm always of the belief that a stopped clock is right twice a day. And that happens to me with my random guesses. But you are knowledgeable about this stuff, and congratulations on such a great record for the season so far. Hopefully we can keep it up and get these things. Why don't we discuss some of these games? Which ones stood out to you, or which ones did you like the most, or which players stood out? What kind of news do we have from last week?
Oh, well, there was a lot of games that stood out to me. Maybe I'll go down the list here. Green Bay versus Washington. It's just impressive how good Green Bay's defense is.
Yes.
Week 1 and 2, they took down one of the 2 explosive offenses in the NFL last season. I was reading a fantasy football waiver wire post this morning, and they're like, yeah, pick up the Green Bay Packers. They're legit. They've held these 2 top offenses last year to I believe like 27 points combined. So it's pretty impressive to see Green Bay's defense be so good.
Yes.
And then Baltimore beating Cleveland, that was pretty obvious, but it was impressive. Lamar Jackson throwing four passing touchdowns. He didn't rush the ball as much. Cleveland held the running game pretty well. Mm-hmm. They really focused on Derrick Henry this game. I believe, I don't know his exact yardage, but I can tell by his fantasy points. I think he got about 5, which is very bad.
Shut him down pretty well.
But Lamar Jackson showed strong passing ability, and it looks like he'll have about 35-plus passing touchdowns again this season. Cincinnati beating Jacksonville. As Cincinnati fans might say, they've won, but at what cost? Joe Burrow will be injured. He was placed on the injured list with a turf toe.
And now they're calling him Toe Burrow, I saw.
And yeah, he'll be back sometime around Christmas, but I don't think the Bengals will really have playoff chances at that point. Mm-hmm. But I want to point out something that might be interesting. If you do have an injured reserve slot in your fantasy football league, I might consider picking them up and putting them on the injured reserve and maybe getting a spare quarterback if you need him. Okay. For Dallas and New York Giants, it was a crazy game. They went crazy for no reason. Nobody expected that game to be as good as it was. But exceptional performances from both teams. And it all came down to Russell Wilson. He had 400-plus passing touchdowns, but then it seemed his brain shut off in that fourth quarter, and he threw that interception. But impressive work from Russell Wilson.
Yeah, anything can happen. I was bad-mouthing him last week, and this is what happens. You just have to have patience when you're watching these players. I was ready to write him off. If I were a betting man, I would have bet a pick 6 for Russell Wilson this last week.
Yeah,
but
and
he comes back and has an impressive performance.
Yeah, so. And that might have bought him a couple more weeks before Jackson Dart or Jameis Winston takes over the reins there. Moving on to Detroit versus Chicago, that was an absolute beatdown. 3 receiving touchdowns from Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions just looked much better. 5 passing touchdowns from Jared Goff. The Lions, I kind of wrote them off in week 1. I thought, after that Packers lost and that horrible offensive showing that they would have another bad offense going into what I thought at the moment was a good Chicago Bears defense, but they turned out to be one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and Detroit absolutely blasted the hinges off.
They had to come out and show what they had, right? 52 points.
And New England versus Miami, it was good to see Drake May do so good. Unfortunately, the defense looks a little bit overhyped. Just looking at the depth chart before the season, I thought this was going to be the best defense in the NFL, but that certainly isn't the case. Letting up 20 points to Las Vegas and nearly losing the game against Miami. But I think the Patriots offense looks good. They clicked on all cylinders, and Drake May is turning into a very great quarterback. But that defense just needs to improve.
Yeah, they made it more of a game than I thought they would. I thought they would hold Miami off for a little longer, but I think they let them creep back into it from what I recall.
Moving on to San Francisco versus New Orleans. San Francisco actually held pretty well without Brock Purdy. Mac Jones actually did a great job. The Saints, it was surprising to see Spencer Rattler do better than projected against that tough San Francisco 49ers defense. And Alvin Kamara, of course, like the only bright spot on that team. He had a good game. But, of course, the New Orleans Saints just don't have enough on their team to win these games at all. I expect them to get maybe 2 or less wins on this season. Definitely a number 1 overall pick coming. The Saints are I think the Saints have the worst situation in the NFL. I believe they're in cap hell right now, which means they can't spend a single, I believe they're negative $20 million in cap space, and they can't spend any money on premium players or anything like that. So I feel bad for a Saints fan, and I hope it gets better, but the Saints have been very, very bad, and they're going to be bad again this year.
Good analysis,
Moving on to Buffalo versus the New York Jets. We watched Red Zone, so we didn't see this game much, but it seemed utter domination from the Buffalo Bills. A lot from James Cook, especially. We didn't see much from Josh Allen that last game.
No, they were very focused on the run game the other
day. And it certainly worked with James Cook emerging, and he definitely deserves that kind of money he got from that extension.
He's the number one running back right now, at least in fantasy points, I believe.
Yeah, and for moving on to the Seattle Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, we saw a very good rushing game from Kenneth Walker after a bad week 1. He bounced back and was much better. It's a dual backfield there, but they have a strong running game. And Sam Darnold's kind of like a dual player. He's like he has a good pass one time and good yardage, but then he turns into New York Jets Sam Darnold and throws a horrible interception. But and Aaron Rodgers looked. I think the week 1 hype was nothing to be excited of, as I believe he threw 2 interceptions against the Seattle.
Back to earth this week.
Yeah, and moving on to the Rams versus the Tennessee Titans. This was a pretty obvious matchup. Who is going to win this one? The Rams. Very strong performance from Puka Nacua so far. He's definitely been the number 1 receiver in fantasy so far, and a great bounce back after the injury. And Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward doesn't look like a bust so far. It's basically just the team around him. Cam Ward has no people around him. Moving on to Arizona versus Carolina, that was a surprisingly close game. We expected that to be a stinker.
Yeah, I almost called that a win for Arizona way earlier than I should have. And then
but Carolina came back. Bryce Young looked much better than week 1. I wish the best for Bryce Young, former Heisman winner, one of the best quarterbacks in Alabama's history. So you wish the best for a quarterback like that, and you wish he would have the run he had at the end of the year, and it certainly looked like that against the Arizona Cardinals. And for the Indianapolis Colts versus the Denver Broncos, Daniel Jones, his miracle run continues. Another great game from Indianapolis, and it was so surprising with Denver's defense coming off a number 1 fantasy performance and number 1 in the NFL defensive performance against the Tennessee Titans to being one of the worst. I believe they got 0 fantasy points and were the worst fantasy defense against the Indianapolis Colts, which was just a vast drop-off, going down 32 slots like that. And that was a great, exciting game. And Denver had it in the bag, but unfortunately, a penalty on the last second of the game where one of the special teams players, you're not supposed to touch the center on a field goal. So he kind of jumped over the center, and that caused a penalty. And it moved him up 5 yards, an easy field goal. Indianapolis wins it.
Oh, I completely missed that one. Boy, okay.
For the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to be anywhere this year. They're a very bad team. The Philadelphia Eagles, they showed a great performance. Kansas City, it seems Patrick Mahomes is just carrying that team on his back right now.
He's got a good arm, but yeah,
he's
everyone else
keeping
is
them in
injured.
those games, and just everybody's suspended or injured on that team.
Yeah.
And it's just a tough situation there in Kansas City, but I root against Kansas City every year, so I'm happy to see it. But in Atlanta versus Minnesota, I didn't pay attention much to this game, but a very strong performance from Bijan Robinson. I believe I saw a statistic a couple days ago that he had more rushing yards than the entire Minnesota Vikings offensive yardage in the entire game.
Yeah.
And J.J. McCarthy got injured in that game, and he will miss the next week. So the Minnesota Vikings have a tough stretch there. And Kevin O'Connell, the coach for the Minnesota Vikings, doesn't seem to be connecting with J.J. McCarthy right now. And top 5 receiver Justin Jefferson, he doesn't seem to be getting involved as much in that offense this year.
So they still have some meshing to do with that team, huh?
Yeah, and then Tampa Bay versus Houston, a very good defensive battle. It was very, very boring game to watch. But the Houston Texans, they have a problem there with C.J. Stroud. I tuned in a little bit in the fourth quarter, and I just saw C.J. Stroud miss 3 straight passes to Nico Collins when he was wide open. And C.J. Stroud seems to have that junior slump as well after having the sophomore slump. I don't think C.J. Stroud will be great for much longer.
He looked bad, really. I mean, I dropped him in fantasy for Daniel Jones, on my bench at least. C.J. Stroud, even then, they had a chance. They scored. They were going for the 2 points, which would have made it a 1-touchdown game. So if Tampa Bay had scored as they did, it still would have been a tie game going to overtime, but he messed those passes up as well. So I am just Houston. I think they have some work to do. And C.J. Stroud is just not what they need right now.
Yeah, agreed. And moving on to the Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders season home opener in Allegiant Stadium. The Chargers defense looks incredible, and Geno Smith does not seem like a great quarterback. I believe they're paying him $40 million a year. And I watched the game recap this morning, and it was just a horrible performance from Geno Smith, throwing into triple coverage on every pass, throwing 3 interceptions. And I think Ashton Jeanty is a bit overhyped for where he was drafted, and it's surprising to see that the Raiders aren't utilizing him as much. But ever since that Penn State versus Boise State college football playoff game where Ashton Jeanty was forced to go against an actual good defense, I could tell he wasn't going to be as hyped as he would be going into the NFL, and he showed that. I think he has about in that range of 3.1 yards per carry so far. But I hope he's good and the Raiders utilize him more, but he definitely does not look like an offensive rookie of the year betting favorite like he was into the start of the season.
Yeah, interesting. I'm going to keep watching them. Like I said, I've been kind of high on Las Vegas, but I'm going to keep watching them and see how that plays out. They get the new coach, Pete Carroll, and I think he's a good leader of teams. But yeah, interesting, something to watch. Let's hope Ashton Jeanty does not disappoint. So what should we do next? Want to go through our week 3 pick sheets?
Yeah, let's go through our week 3 pick sheets.
I can start off if you want to, because I cheat ahead of the time and I do it.
I see you have it checked down there,
I've checked mine and looked at mine.
You can say some while I can check mine off here.
Okay.
So yeah.
But the problem is I've given it some thought, and when I give it some thought, you can overthink things. I think the best way is always to just rip right through these, go with your initial gut feelings, and then go. So, here I've put 4 question marks next to some of these games, which means I don't have a clue. And I've checked something off, and we'll see. But to start off, I'm obviously going with Buffalo to beat Miami on Thursday night, the September 18th. And then on Sunday, I've got Atlanta beating Carolina, Green Bay over Cleveland. I think those are 2 pretty easy picks. I've got Houston over Jacksonville. I just mentioned that C.J. Stroud is having some problems there, and I'm no big fan, but I'm gonna still pick Houston on that one. And again, this next game, Cincinnati and Minnesota, just injuries on both sides of the game. We had J.J. McCarthy, and I think Aaron Jones Sr. is also injured on the Minnesota side of things. Cincinnati's lost Joe Burrow, but they've got some other weapons, so I've picked Cincinnati in that game. Here's my first question mark, Pittsburgh at New England. It's at New England. People are high on New England. I'm not so high on them. I don't know. I'm picking Pittsburgh for no particular reason there, just besides I'm not on the full New England bandwagon yet. I have no excuse for that. Everybody can yell at me in the comments and so forth, but I'm going with Pittsburgh to beat New England in that one. I'm going to go with I'm actually going to go with the Rams over Philadelphia at Philadelphia. I'm going to go Tampa Bay beating the Jets. I'm going to go Indianapolis beating Tennessee. Again, I say I'm high on Las Vegas, so I'm going to pick Las Vegas over the Commanders. I think I've been a little too high on the Commanders as well, and they're looking a little more disappointing than I thought they would, so that's another gut check one, just Las Vegas over the Washington Commanders. I've got the Chargers beating Denver, Seattle beating New Orleans. That's a pretty easy one. I've got Dallas over Chicago, San Francisco over Arizona. How long is Brock Purdy out for San Francisco?
I believe till week 4, so maybe one more week.
We'll have Mac Jones lead them to another victory over Arizona, especially after Arizona just kind of slipping away, almost giving away that game last week. And then, I always hate to pick Kansas City because we hate them, but pick Kansas City to beat the Giants at an evening game on Sunday. And then for the Monday night game, there's another question mark, Baltimore-Detroit. Couple powerhouses there. I'm going Baltimore simply because of the home team, and that's all I'm going for on that one, but that's going to be a great game, I think.
Okay, yeah, and my turn here. Definitely the game tomorrow on Thursday, September 18th. I have the Buffalo Bills beating the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are obviously a bad team this year, and I think the Buffalo Bills are going to crush them like they did the New York Jets. I have Atlanta beating Carolina. I think Atlanta's offense is great, and their defensive showing against Minnesota, who's a 10 times better team than Carolina, will definitely play a factor. And Atlanta's defense is surprisingly really good this year, and I think they'll crush Carolina completely. I have Green Bay beating Cleveland. It's pretty explanatory. Cleveland has a great defense this year for no particular reason at all, but I think they'll definitely focus on the passing game there in Green Bay. Maybe a big game from Matthew Golden after Jaden Reed was injured out for 6 to 7 weeks with a dislocated collarbone. So I think Green Bay is going to win that game, and Josh Jacobs will be kind of a non-factor again. I have Jacksonville beating Houston. I liked how Jacksonville looked, even though it's the Bengals defense and everybody's scores like 30-plus points against the Bengals defense. I thought Trevor Lawrence looked much better, and they're at home. And Travis Etienne and Baishal Tutin are turning into a great running back combo. So I think Jacksonville will squeak it out just barely, but it'll be a good shootout there. I have Cincinnati beating Minnesota. The battle of backup quarterbacks there, but I just think Jake Browning's a bit better than whoever Minnesota's backup quarterback is. I forgot to see, and I don't think Jordan Mason is really ready to take like a starting role there after losing the veteran Aaron Jones. And I think both teams there will rely on their wide receiver ones and a Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase battle, but I just think Cincinnati is a better offense overall. I have Pittsburgh beating New England. I even though Aaron Rodgers was pretty bad last year, I just feel like Pittsburgh has a good team. Obviously, they have a great defense, not as great as previous years, but still a fantastic defense all around. And Aaron Rodgers, if he's good, he'll be fine. And I think Jaylen Warren will be very good. He'll probably pierce the Patriots. I have the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Los Angeles Rams. I just think the Eagles have so much home field advantage there in Philadelphia, and I don't think the Rams' offense is good enough to really beat that Philadelphia Eagles defense. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the New York Jets. The New York Jets will have to rely on backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor this week after losing Justin Fields to a concussion. So I think Tampa Bay will definitely take that one, and it's at home in Tampa Bay. I think the New York Jets will get obliterated again, but we might see a big game from Breece Hall. I think they'll rely on him a lot. I have the Indianapolis Colts beating the Tennessee Titans. Even though it's at Tennessee, I just don't think any fans will come to see that game because Tennessee is so bad. And I think Indianapolis with Daniel Jones and that great offense will have a good time there and really score a bunch of points on that Tennessee team. I have Washington beating Las Vegas. I didn't like Las Vegas's showing on Monday Night Football against the Chargers, and Washington has a worse defense but a much better offense. I think Washington will definitely have a good offensive movement there and just march down the field plenty of times. I have the Chargers beating the Denver Broncos. With the Denver Broncos having a bad performance against the Indianapolis Colts and the Chargers' very good passing game. So I think it's going to be really good for the Chargers here because the reigning defensive player of the year for the Broncos, Patrick Surtain, the third, I think he's going to cover Chargers wide receiver 1, Ladd McConkey. But this year so far, you've seen 3 people come out for the Chargers. You've seen Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and Keenan Allen, the veteran, all come out as viable receiving options for Justin Fields. And I think even with that strong Denver defense, they'll still perform at a high level. I have Seattle beating New Orleans. I just think New Orleans is such a bad team on all cylinders, so that's pretty explanatory. I have Dallas beating Chicago. After what Dallas did to the New York Giants defense to Chicago and what the Lions did to the Chicago defense, I think Chicago and the New York Giants have a pretty similar defense. So I think Dallas will do the same thing they did last week, and it'll be a very big game from CeeDee Lamb. I think it'll be like a parallel, like a CeeDee Lamb, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 touchdowns in week 2, CeeDee Lamb maybe 2 this week, and it'll be a strong passing game for the Dallas Cowboys there. I have the Arizona Cardinals beating the San Francisco Giants. I know it's in San Francisco, and this is a close game for me, but I just think Arizona has a bit of a better offense there, and I just think so, and I think they held Chuba Hubbard to pretty low, and I think excuse me, and I think they'll focus on the running game there. And with the 49ers not having much receiving options, I think Arizona squeaks that one out, maybe in like what looks like a 17-14 or 20-17 game. Probably a defensive battle there. I have Kansas City beating the New York Giants. Even with Kansas City's mediocre offense and defense, they don't have any running game at all this year. But I think Kansas City is just good enough to pull it out against this horrible Giants defense. And the Kansas City Chiefs defense is much better than the Dallas Cowboys. They held the Eagles to 20 points. So it'll be that'll be a good game to see, but I think Kansas City definitely pulls that one out, gets their first win of the season. And there's a very, very good Monday Night Football game that I'll definitely be tuning into with Detroit and Baltimore. And like you said, I could go either way on this one, but I think I do have to give it to Baltimore because of the home field advantage. Home field advantage is mostly seen in sports like basketball and football, but football you really see it. And I just think Baltimore can pull that one out, and that's going to be a really good shootout, similar to Baltimore's Week 1 matchup against the Bills. I think that'll be an incredible game, but I just think Baltimore has the capacity and so many players on that team to just take it over Detroit.
Yes, we'll be counting the hours to that one. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So we're running a little late today, so why don't we just skip ahead to the boxing results on Saturday night? What did you think of the fight?
Oh, yeah, I watched the fight. I watched all the undercards, too, but I was cheering for, so this is Crawford versus Canelo, Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez for the unanimous, Terrence Crawford won by unanimous decision over Canelo Alvarez in, it went through 12 rounds. So I just think throughout the whole fight that Crawford was just dominant, and I don't think Canelo had anything on him. Just Crawford had an amazing strategy, just moving around the ring at all times and just getting the sneaky little hits in and just piling up the hits, and it all turned out at the end with the scorecards, and obviously Terrence Crawford unanimously won on all 3. So yeah, I think Canelo Alvarez, and I think both those boxers might retire. I think that's the last fight of their careers.
Oh, is that right?
I think
How old is Terrence Crawford?
I think they're both 37 and 38 respectively.
Okay.
So.
Okay, yeah, Canelo didn't look bad, but he looked like he was kind of ready to. his time as a boxer at top level might be it's a good time to retire. Perhaps we'll see. I don't want to say anything good or bad against these guys. It was a great fight, exciting. Came on at 1 a.m. So it was a late start to that, but that was exciting super fight that we don't get to see very often.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up for now.
And we could do Red Sox real quick, just a quick
sure.
round. But yeah, for the Red Sox, our worst fears are coming true here. They're slowly slipping out of the wild card here, which is what we don't want to see. This offense has been horrible without Roman Anthony, and hopefully we can make it to the playoffs and get him back. What I believe you said was like the second playoff game we play, we get him back. So hopefully that happens. But this Red Sox team does not look good right now, and hopefully we just get like maybe 4 or 5 wins just to get in the wild card.
Yeah.
We just got to get there. We
gotta
lost
pull it
to
off.
the Oakland Athletics, I guess the Sacramento Athletics.
Oh, that's right.
Yesterday, 2-1. We just couldn't get anything going against the Athletics of all teams. But hopefully the Red Sox are good. But that wraps it up. Thanks for listening and watching, or however you watch our podcast in episode 3 of Angie Sports Zone. Next week we'll get you the results of the games we talked about, and you can tune in to BevCam Sports Network and all those games. And that was Angie Sports Zone episode 3.
Episode 3. Thank you.